Photoshop brushes. Okay, so there's a lot that we could do with Photoshop brushes. I'm going to give a quick overview of all the sort of the basic things that you might need, that you probably will use. Right, so brush, we'll just stick with the brush tool for now as a basic one, and I'll do a full one in the future, I think. B for brush, for your toolbar up here, and then this all turns up here. So what you've got is you've got your ability to change your size of your brush here. So you see that's 162 pixels there. Make it larger. Oops. You can also make it larger with the brackets on your keyboard. So open and close brackets will make it larger. You have the ability to change the color down here. So if you double click on this, you can choose your color, or you can slide this up and down to change the color as well. If you have a very, very specific CMYK breakdown or RGB, you can just type it in here. So if I want a really magenta color, I can just type it in there, click OK. In the brushes panel, you'll have, depending on what you've got, you'll have lots of folders, or maybe you've only got one or two. So general brushes is probably already in there, and you can see there's all sorts of different types of brushes here. You can also make this larger or smaller if you want to see more or less brushes. So there's a lot of brushes that we can go through. There's wet media, dry media, there's also watercolors and everything. If you find you don't really have many here, maybe you've just got general brushes, or maybe you don't have that many, you just click on this little icon up here and you go get more brushes, and it'll take you to the website. So continue to United Kingdom. So if you sign in, you will get all sorts of options for brushes here, and there are a lot of them. So whatever kind of art you're into making, Photoshop is really pushing the brushes hard now, and there's a lot of really, really good ones. So let's say we want this watercolor pack here. What you do is click on the download button. Wait a minute. So once it's downloaded, you'll see that it is added it to your brushes here. So if we just click on anything, so let's say like dry media over here, and then we'll make this a little bigger. You can see there's all sorts of effects. It's probably worth, instead of me going through them, boring you with each one, is download all the brushes and have a little play. Some of you will be more into watercolor, some of you more into pastels, copiers, or manga stuff, whatever you're doing. There's a brush for you in there somewhere, so have a good play in there, see what you like. There's a couple of sort of buttons that I think would be worth going over so you get to know. Let's go with just a general hard round for now. You need a Wacom really to play with these brushes. A Wacom is ideal. You can do stuff with with just your mouse, but really you need a Wacom to have the full sort of brush experience. Right, so there's a button up here. This button here helps you with pressure sensitivity. So the lighter you press, the thinner the line will become, or the harder you press, the thicker the line will become. So that's a useful button up there. Let's undo that. So if we turn that one off, this one here is pressure sensitivity, but with the opacity. So you can see the lighter you press, the lower the opacity, the harder you press, the higher the opacity. You can also, if you don't want that but you do want a lighter color, you can just change the opacity up here, or you can change it to a stronger color. There's also flow, which is sort of dictates how it's almost like how much paint is on your brush at the time. So that one really comes in handy with, so you can see like the edges there compared to 100% flow. It's, you know, especially when you come to working with sort of some of the realistic media brushes, these kind of things really come into their own. Smoothing is a really nice tool. If we just go over this quickly, so you can see that, let's say I put smoothing on 0 and I try and do a circle here. Because it's on a Wacom, it is a bit difficult to do like a really smooth circle, but if we boost this up to 60%, this will actually smooth out the line for me. So when I want to do a circle, it lags behind a little bit, so it smooths the circle off, and you can see those are much better. So it's really nice for those of you who, you know, want to do any kind of calligraphy online or hand-drawn lettering. It's really much nicer for any kind of hand calligraphy. So it really gives that nice smooth edge. The one other thing that I've noticed up here is these. So if you're like me and you work predominantly in the Christmas industry, you've got all these little bits here. So let's go down to Mandala here. So you've got a symmetry tool. So Mandala, let's go the symmetry count of 8, and this comes up. So you can move this about, make it bigger, make it smaller. And with the brush tool, if you go down, so let's say we just go out from here, we can really and it's the quickest way to make a snowflake in the world, and it's incredible, and it saves me so much time. Obviously, the industry that I work in, which is predominantly Christmas, it really helps, especially when you're trying to create new snowflakes all the time. But I'd imagine if you're, you know, drawing anything, this would be useful, to be fair. Any kind of like a face that requires a bit of symmetry, and then you can add the asymmetry on afterwards, so you can just turn the symmetry off then, and then if you wanted to create asymmetry in it, you know, you can just add in pieces, and or you can just go to last symmetry used and just go back to that. There's a whole bunch of them on here. They're worth having a little play with. So vertical, like if you literally wanted to draw a butterfly, a vertical one or a horizontal one, or there's parallel lines. So have a little play with those, see what you think. If we delete that, oops, symmetry off. If we delete that off there. So what I would suggest is download the brushes, have a little play with these buttons up here and your colours, and you know, maybe just take an hour just to look at all the brushes. You know, you don't have to go through all of them. Maybe just pick 4 or 5 from the watercolour and 4 or 5 from dry media, things like that. But instead of me showing you everything, I think it's probably easier for you guys just to go through it and have a look and see what's there. If you do want a much more in-depth thing, I can show you literally everything under the sun, all the settings and everything in here. Comment below if you'd like a much more in-depth, but this was much more of just an introduction, just like a quick start guide. One other thing I would let you know about is, so I'm on the watercolor here, so you can see you can get some really nice watercolor effects going. So you can see this is sort of a backwards L shape pointing up. With this over here, you can actually move the brush direction. Doesn't really work that well with this because you're basically making sort of watercolor blobs. But with some of them that might be sort of more angular shapes, it's a much better use. So yeah, have a little go, see what you think. If you'd like anything additional or if you're confused by anything, let me know in the comments below.